My name is Mr. Ahmed Ismail. I have been teaching English as a second language since 2002. I started my career in Egypt. However, I have been teaching English here in Qatar since 2002. I am a teacher in Abdullah bin Ali Misnad Secondary School for Boys. Well, in my opinion, the old or the traditional method of teaching reading is something from the past. In other words, it's behind the times. It's no longer exciting or effective for our students. Maybe because of the sophisticated world where our students live. Therefore, I think when you teach reading, you must be far away from this traditional method. And thank you.
In the name of the most gracious, merciful of Allah, I am Dr. Abdelhakim Zagloul Mohammed Abdel. I am a teacher of English language in Omar bin Aziz Secondary School for Boys. Today, I am going to talk about the traditional reading. When we want to find a definition to the traditional reading, we can say it is a way in which students read the passages in a passive and traditional way, which is very bad in my point of view, because most of students, when they read in a passive way without doing activities, will feel demotivated and they cannot complete reading the passages, which will affect their level in a very bad way. When it comes to the cons and disadvantages of traditional reading, we have a lot of cons and disadvantages for that way. Firstly, the student will feel demotivation while reading in a traditional way because, as I said, they will feel passive. They are not doing activities while reading. Some of them may feel sleep while reading in a traditional way because it's, they feel there is no value for reading something in a silent way, and they must move, they must, watch videos, they must do something, they must be active while reading. So the traditional way is against all these activities, so the student unfortunately feel demotivated using that way. Unfortunately, the second disadvantage is very, very serious. When we teach reading in a traditional way, the student will suffer from lack of understanding because some of them will feel sleep while reading in a traditional way, so their consciousness also gonna be sleeping. So this is a very bad way in terms of understanding. Some students will feel I'm not doing anything while just reading the passage in a silent way, so they will not be aware of what they are reading. So this is the second disadvantage, which is lack of understanding to the pieces of information they read in the passages. Unfortunately, when the student read in traditional way, they will not enjoy reading, so they will not take reading as one of their interests, as one of their hobbies, which will affect their English level generally. Reading is a very important skill. If we want to get new knowledge in English, new vocabulary in English, we have to read. We have two receptive skills which are very, very important for the students and for the learner of English language. They must read more and more to get more knowledge and vocabulary, and they must listen more and more to get also knowledge and vocabulary. So these are the only receptive skills we have to depend on. So I advise all students and even the teachers, particularly the teachers, they must give up using the traditional way in teaching reading. They must use the technology, cooperative reading. They must split the passage into pieces, and they must ask the student to share their ideas together. The students must feel activities, or they must do activities while reading, and this will help them to understand, and they gonna feel a very exciting atmosphere in reading tasks. This is my comment on traditional reading, and thank you for watching.
My name is Abdelhakim. I work as a teacher of English. I have worked for more than 20 years. Concerning the topic of teaching reading, It's very important how we teach reading. Traditional method in teaching reading lacks many things, like motivation, engagement, amusement, and most importantly, differentiation. As most of us as teachers work in mixed ability classes, we should stress on differentiation. It's very important for us to make our students love what they read, to make the most benefit of reading, as it's a perceptive skill. Thank you.
I am Yasser Abdel. I'm an English teacher in Shamal Secondary School. My experience is 13 years old, 6 years in Egypt and 7 years here in Qatar. Today I want to speak about the cons of using traditional way in teaching English as a whole and especially in teaching reading. If I want to speak about the first point, I'll tell you about we help to make the students negative. For example, if you give the students every information he wants and you summarize the lesson for him, and if he wants to know any information about anything, you can give him this information, you help him to be negative student. This is the first point. If we move to the second one, we will not have creative student. For example, if the student are stable in his table and only listen to you if he wants to listen exactly to you, because I think after 10 minutes as a research, after 10 minutes the student will think about anything else. So I think in this way we help the students not to focus on what you say, and we help them also not to be creative students. If we move to the third point, we cannot give the students some questions about the reading passage they read, and the teacher in some ways he asks the students to answer the questions. Okay, and my question is how he will be able to answer these questions without understanding what's the text about. So if you want the student to answer the questions, you must participate him, you must make him understand the text by reading, by summarizing, by answering, by asking you some questions about the lesson. At last, if the student entered the exam, I think he cannot be able to answer any of these questions because we didn't practice him before about how to answer the question, how to deal with the question. So I advise myself and advise my colleagues in the schools to use modern methods in teaching English as a whole, and especially in teaching reading. For example, we can use the jigsaw, which is about to give every group a paragraph from the reading passage and asks the groups to summarize the paragraph, to give you the main point, to give you headings about the paragraph, to give you some questions and some answers about it. I think in this way we will succeed or manage to deliver the lesson to the students. Thank you so much, and I wish you a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this short video, I am going to talk about the cons or the disadvantages of using traditional methods in teaching reading in English. For me, there are many disadvantages of these methods. One of the most important thing is that traditional methods is not or are not attractive for a lot of students. What the teacher does is to present the information for the students, and what they do is only to listen to the teacher's instructions and to know what the teacher wants them to know. Moreover, In the traditional methods, there is no chance for the students to think or to do by themselves to discover any other information about the topic. For example, in the reading text, the students wants to discover and guess the meaning of the unknown words by themselves. But in traditional methods, the teacher doesn't give them the chance to guess the meaning by themselves. He only puts the meaning of these words on the board, and the students know them during the board. And we all know that easy come, easy go. When the teacher tells the students the meaning of these words, I think they will never remember them for a long time. But if they guess the meaning of these words by themselves, I think the matter will be different. They will memorize it for a long time. Moreover, using traditional methods in teaching English, especially reading skills, is or don't care about the differentiation between students. What the teacher does is to explain with one way, and this is not good and cause boredom for both high achiever and low achiever students. The high achiever need to think, need to imagine, need to apply, and need to work by themselves. But the teacher doesn't give them the chance to do that. Also, the low achiever may be misunderstanding of a lot of meaning of these words or concepts that the teacher explains. Finally, learning by using traditional methods in reading may be not enough to achieve all objectives of the lesson of reading. For example, if we talk about using of figure of speech or for using techniques, narrative techniques of the lesson, I think it's not enough to use traditional method to teaching such these subjects, because it demands a lot of efforts from the students themselves to can achieve these goals. Finally, in conclusion, I think that teachers have to use modern methods in teaching English and to improve their students' skills, especially in reading, to make their classrooms attractive and also to make their students enjoy the classroom and to can achieve the objectives of the lesson in a whole way. Thank you very much. I hope this video will be benefit for you.
Mohammed Awad, English coordinator in Shamal Secondary School. I think one of the main drawbacks of traditional reading methods or ways that it lacks even to motivate the learner's interests. They probably become indifferent to the reading classes. So I think the traditional ways of reading are no more useful because they need more activities, different reading strategies as well. Also, I think the traditional ways of reading lack to cooperation because most of these traditional methods present the reading text for each student to express separately about himself or his point of view without any cooperation or interpretation with his classmates, without any exchanging to ideas among teachers and the classroom.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. My name is Mohammed Al-Adawy. I am an English language teacher. My real experience about 29 years. In fact, if I want to talk about reading skills is the most important and the most essential skill in learning or acquiring English language for any student. So it should be highly considerations, and every learner and every teacher should pay attention for this skill, because it highly develops the student to learn new vocabulary, new ideas, how to deal with the task, and how to develop writing and understanding comprehension topics. So these skills, I think it is very, very important. So by the way, the traditional method in teaching this skill require some modifications. For example, we should take care about the differentiation between our students, and to put them in special groups or different groups